Good morning, YouTube. Okay, I am going to be showing you guys my soaping supplies finally. I am going to put you guys up here for a second. Okay, today I'm going to make another soap batch. I don't know if I'm going to be able to film it, but I am going to show you guys all the supplies. And I'm going to start with, this is my stick blender. My mom gave this to me last year. We've had this in our family forever. Since I was a little kid, she's had this one, and she finally went and bought a new one last year. Once I started making soap with this one. But she was like, the blade's starting to get really, like, not that great. It is good still, but it's just not as sharp. But I can always buy new blades if it really starts to become a problem, and if it seems like this, like it takes a long time to trace with it. But it's a bronze, so it's a great quality. Years. I mean, we've had it for years. She also gave me the scale. This is the scale that I use. It's a salter. It's pretty great. Pretty simple. Does exactly what I need it to do. Okay, the mixing bowl. This also was given to me by my mom. Love it. It has a nice rubber bottom, so it'll actually stay nice and put on the counter while I'm mixing. Great handle. Nice pouring spout, and then when I'm going in with the spatula to get everything out, it's nice because it's just great plastic, so it comes off. And it's really hard and it's really big. I've never made a batch that's been bigger than this, so it's been great every single time I use it. This is the pan that I lay all my molds, that I use as my mold. For right now, it's been fine, but I am eventually going to be trying to get an actual mold because every time I use this one, because it's rounded, there's always soaps that come off with rounded edges, which kind of come out weird. So, I don't know. I'm going to eventually get a mold. This is the one that I use to make the cold water bath, glass Pyrex. This is what I use when I'm actually mixing the lye and the water. It's aluminum, stainless steel or something like that. And this is actually used to heat up milk. So this goes on the stove and it's very heat resistant. I mean, obviously, if you've got direct flames on it, when it's heating up milk, I thought this was perfect. And the reason I also ended up loving it is because the lye water used to take forever to cool down, and I'm trying to find, I was looking this morning for this other measuring cup that I had, but I haven't found it. I don't know where. I don't know where I ended up putting this other measuring cup that I have, but it's like a silicone, I just don't know where it went. It's like a silicone measuring cup, and I used it once for the lye water, and then I used it for something else. I think when we were thinning out our paintbrushes and cleaning up our paintbrushes, I put paint thinner in there. So it's already been used for chemical mixing, so it's never going to be used again for cooking. But I didn't like it because when I was mixing the lye water in there, it's like it got so hot that it started bending the plastic. And I just didn't like it. And it took forever to cool down. So then one week, one of the batches that I made, I tried this, and it was great because as soon as this goes into the cold water bath, it starts to cool down so quickly. So eventually, I don't know if I'm ever going to make a batch where it's going to be much bigger than this, the lye water, but for right now, it's been perfect. I never really make that big of a batch that it requires so much lye water. The trick is, though, that sometimes the part that scares me the most when I'm making soap is obviously making the lye water. I actually do get really nervous when I'm mixing the lye water because it's such a dangerous chemical. But what I do is I've been using these pinch bowls. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I've been using these pinch bowls to measure the lye because I've never really used so much lye that it would be more than these little pinch bowls. And obviously I use gloves, so they look really small to mix lye in. But what I do is I would measure the lye out in this, and then measure the water out in here, and then pour the lye like this. So some people would say it's dangerous because it's so small, you're so close to the actual lye. But I've never had any problems at all when I make lye water, ever. So I use these, or it depends on how I'm feeling. I might also use these. These are the two other bowls that I have. These are usually used for measuring out the oils because they're bigger. So if I'm using a lot of different oils, I've never used more than 3 different oils, but I don't know, like it just depends on how I'm feeling and what I'm doing that day and what kind of supplies I'm going to be using. So anywhere between these, and then I also have this. I might sometimes make the lye water in here and then pour it into here. I don't know. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. So I use a variety of different things. This is another little one. These I'll sometimes use to hold essential oils or smaller quantities of oils or powders or fragrances. What else? I've got the two thermometers. I'm using meat thermometers from now until I actually go and buy good thermometers. But they've been working out fine. They always come out and give me the correct temperatures. This one, the lowest it comes down to is 130. So normally if I use this one I'll use this one for the oil and I'll use this one for the lye, because the lye needs to be a lot more exact in temperature than the oil does. This one comes down to 20 and it goes up to 220. This one I don't like using for the lye, like I said, because it only shows you 130. So normally if I want it to come down to 120 or 110, I'll have to wait a little while for it to get down past the 130. So I use both of these until I get better thermometers. That's what I have for right now. This is where I filter my water, my Brita filter. So I use filtered water. People have, sometimes I'll boil the water and then let it cool to make sure there's like all the impurities are out. I haven't used distilled water yet, although I know that most people have told me distilled water is the absolute best because it's got no impurities in it. Then I have, this is just a little cup that I'll use either for essential oils or for holding, because it pours really nicely. So this might be, usually I use this for any kind of essential oil or honey, for example. I've got 2 different kinds of rubber plastic spatulas. My spatula is actually starting to get frayed a little bit from the chemicals. And then I've got this one, which is great because it bends nicely, so it can also be used for scraping out very well. I've got my glasses, my goggles, and then I do have a new pair of gloves that I have somewhere underneath the sink that I have to go look for. And that's basically it. I have parchment paper upstairs. So I've been lining the pan. The last batch that I made, I lined the pan with parchment paper, which was great because the mold came out perfectly. And then today what I was going to do was the rest of this honey. So I have to heat this up and get this out of here. The rest of the honey, soybean oil, and today I'm going to use coffee for the first time. So we're using Starbucks caramel coffee for the recipe. First time I'm going to use coffee. And then the only other thing is I'll use this pan to heat up the oils. So it's a nice small little just saute pan, saucepan. And yeah, that's it. That's basically my supplies. I'm gonna try and see if I can get this filmed to the actual soap making process today. But if I can't, I'm gonna definitely try sometime this week. So thanks you guys for watching. Have a great rest of the day. Good morning, everyone. Here we go. We're finally going to do a soap making video. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it from the camera because the battery is giving me issues. But I'm going to try and go ahead and do this as quick as possible. So hopefully I don't have to divide this into 2 videos, but I might. I just want to show you guys what I've set up so far. Over here I've got where my dirty dishes are going to go with vinegar and water. Vinegar neutralizes any kind of lye reaction. I've got my cold water bath over here. I've got my lye ready to go. I am getting ready to go with measuring out the water. I've already gotten the calculations from my lye calculator that I need 2.3 ounces of lye and 6.1 ounces of water. I've got my pan ready to go, set up with parchment paper. Over here I've got 12.5 ounces of soybean oil, 6 ounces of olive oil, an ounce of coffee, and an ounce of honey. Over here where I'm going to heat up the oils, I've got my thermometer ready to go and the pan ready to go. And so let's go. We're going to do this. Okay, so I've got long sleeve shirt on, long pants, sneakers, my goggles, and my gloves. Sometimes people will also use a mask, but I tend not to use one. I know not to go anywhere close to where the lye is once it gets mixed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out the water. So here we've got the filtered water. I've already zeroed out the scale. So we are going to go ahead and measure 6.1 ounces. Now I'm going to do a little tiny bit of rounding because the scale measures in fourths. So we need 6.1. Actually, it measures out in eighths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to an eighth. And see right there, it's measuring between there's an eighth, but then it keeps going up to a quarter. So we don't want a quarter. Definitely want like an eighth. So I'm going to measure out a little bit, and there we go, 6 1/8. So that's going to be my water. Okay, we always want to mix lye to the water. We do not want to mix water to the lye. So now I'm going to set my water over here on the side. Here's my little dish for measuring out the lye. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the scale. Make sure it's zeroing out. Okay, now I want to make sure that I do this far away from me. Very carefully open, always pointing away from you. We're going to need 2.3 ounces of lye. Should be the last recipe that I'm able to get out of this bottle. So here's 2 1/8. 3/8. That's exactly where I'm going to go up to. Close that up. Now I'm going to take this, put it completely away from me. Until I can wrap it up later. Okay, so now we're going to move the scale away from me. I'm going to go ahead and pull the cold water bath over here. I'm actually going to do this over here and just turn you guys. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put the water over here on the corner. Okay. We're going to slowly start adding the lye to the water. Make sure that you're watching out for any kind of fumes that start coming up from it. Get it all out. Automatically this goes into our vinegar water. Okay? Slowly take our mixing spoon. Start mixing the crystals in the water. You will see that fumes start to rise. It starts to get very hot, and I'm getting very far away from it, letting the fumes go on that side. Nice and slow, making sure all the crystals are dissolving. Once I feel like all the crystals feel like they're dissolved, this goes right into my vinegar water bath. This goes right into our cold water bath. Make sure it sinks down nicely. Now this is the tricky part because as you can see, depends on how much water you put in there. This will kind of float around. So just make sure that it's nice and stable. You don't want it falling over and tipping into your water. It might have actually been a little bit too much water that I put in there, but that's okay, it's stable. I'm gonna take my thermometer, try and put my thermometer in here. And we can see that it is going up to, it's already at 120. So carefully let that stay in there. Monitor the temperature. I'm going to go ahead and start heating up my oils. Okay, I'm over here, you guys, at the stove, heating up the oils. Wonderful. Now, I'm going to come over and check the temperature. Beautiful. The temperature of the lye did not get very hot because I let it actually get down to put it right into the ice water bath, so it only got up to 100, which is perfect. We only need to let our, now I'm washing off the tip of this thermometer in the vinegar water. Now, because it's already down to 100, I don't need to heat the oils up very much. So I'm going to go ahead and to not let this cool anymore, I'm going to go ahead and take it out, leave it here on the side. And I'm going to come over and, now I've actually noticed that some lye crystals have fallen on the tablecloth, so that's going to be something I might need to be careful with later to make sure that I wrap this up very carefully, and this is going to go into the wash. This isn't going to be used for anything else that's on this tablecloth. So that's going to be something I have to be very careful with to make sure. That's why I always put down a tablecloth. So now I'm over here and I'm going to be measuring my oil, or taking temperature of my oils, and if it goes up over the 130 mark, I'm going to turn this right off. We want to get this down pretty much, it's in the same temperature range as the lye. So we're going to go ahead and now take this. Here it goes into our mixing bowl. We are always going to be putting the lye water to the oils. Sure we get that all out. Now that was very quick with heating up the oils because these were already liquid oils, so they didn't need very much heating up. Okay, and then we're going to take our lye water, very gently, very slowly, pour in the lye water. Make sure we get that all out. And this goes automatically into the vinegar bath. Okay. All right, now our water with the ice just to be on the safe side. Also goes right in to the vinegar water. Okay, now to make sure that I avoid any of these tiny little crystals from getting anywhere, I'm going to fold this right over. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and very carefully take this mixture over here. And now I'm going to just switch you guys over here. And we're going to take our stick blender and we're going to start taking this to trace, slowly mixing it. Make sure that you avoid any splashing, so carefully, slowly turn on the blender. Now I want to show you guys real quick what this is starting to look like, because this is the most interesting part. It starts to get nice and creamy. And now all we have to do is wait till it gets to trace. Once it starts getting thicker and gets to trace, I will then pour in the honey. Usually takes a couple of minutes, and yes, this is going to be 2 videos because we are over 10 minutes. As you can see, it's still not at trace. It is starting to get thicker, but it's not leaving any trail marks, which is our trace that we're looking for. So we're going to keep going. Just check it. It is starting to get much thicker. It's getting close to trace. So now I'm going to go ahead and carefully start putting in this honey. The spatula, I want to try and get all of it in. It was my last ounce of honey, so I want to make sure I get all of it. That's why I like using this nice little glass cup. Okay. This is just going to go into the sink. Now you want to be very careful at this stage still. This lye is still very dangerous. For a couple of days it can still react with your skin. So don't think that just because it's now mixed with the soap, with the fat, that it's safe to even get near or touch. So you want to be very careful not to let any of this splash. I'm going to try and push down some of this honey that was on the side. And it is starting to get thicker. It is starting to get close to trace. As you can see, much thicker, starting to look like pudding, which is what we want. check it. It's almost there. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in the coffee. Again, before it starts becoming full trace, I'm going to go ahead and pour in this ounce of coffee, which smells fantastic. Slowly blend it in. I want you guys to see what it looks like. Okay, there's our coffee grind. Go ahead and mix it like this a little bit. It's going to be very nice dark bars. Make sure it's very nice and well incorporated. And now keep blending. It's not quite at trace yet. Sometimes when you add in things, it will slow the tracing process down. So that's why you want to do it when it's actually getting closer to trace. Shouldn't be that much longer now. Trace. Yay, we've gotten trace. Last step. Yes, I know it's Daddy. Yes, I know.